Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to today's little lesson here. I'm getting away from the country slash blues licks this particular lesson, and going back to a bit of what I was introduced to guitar was a lot of metal and rock playing, and from back in the day, Randy Rhoads, etc. So this is a cool little lick I like to do quite often, and it doesn't have to be over a rock progression or with a rock sound, of course, but it does fit well in the neoclassical kind of vein, if you will. So, and if you've seen these before, if you've seen them before, I think Malmsteen was a big guy that did a lot of these, and I know many other players do as well. But they're actually not too difficult once you figure them out. So what this is it's a pivot or a paddle is what they call the lick, or what I've heard it referred to as, where we're pivoting or paddling off of one note all the time. So in this particular case, I'm in A minor, and the way I'm going to remember where to go with this, when I was new at it, is I would just think of this triad, A minor triad, and this would be my starting point. And then, so if I was in E minor, for instance, it would be up there. So it's easy to move around once you get the idea. Just think of your root note on, if you're just working with this from a beginner's kind of standpoint, off of the B string is the best approach, B and E string, for starters, and then we can move them around. So what I have here is, it's going to be based on, again, A minor. So the notes I'm moving through here, I'm going to start on the 10th fret up to the 12th, and then back to 8, back to 12. So this is where we pivot. We pivot or pedal off this high note every time. 12, 12, 12, like that. So what I'm doing here is I start here, go up to 12, reach down to fret 8, go up to 12. Now, a lot of players I've seen do these will reach down again, but I'm not comfortable with reaching. My left hand just doesn't like it. I've never been able to develop it. I think because I got an injury as a young man, my pinky doesn't tend to allow me to want to go that far. I've seen guys go from 12 to, or from 5 to 12 without much effort. So I don't choose to reach back for that note. I'm going to do it on the 12th fret of the B string. So you get the same effect. And then I'm already set up here now to move that note back again. So it's, now we go to the B string still. Now you can reach back, and that'll be 8th again. And then you're going to end up on the G string here. Okay, so be aware of that. And so on. So what I'm going to do first is just play here the notes that you'd go through, excluding the pivot note. Or it could be 12th fret there. Now we just go like that, okay? Now the picking I'll get into real quick. It's a hybrid style that I'm kind of using, but that is personal preference. Again, I think a lot of players would just alternate pick this, which is also very easy, but I'm kind of going with middle or third finger, doing every pivot note like that. That's just, again, just a comfort thing. That's just what I'm comfortable with, and of course you do it however, whatever suits you. I think is the best approach with these things. Everyone has their own way of doing things, and if you perfected it, then do it that way. Even if you can do all this standing in your head and you perfected it, do it standing on your head. So anyways, that's the general idea of what we've got here. Is we're moving through these notes like that. Now, again, if you want to move this to another key, just think of the triad So this would be E minor. And it is a lot easier to do up in the little frets here. And another thing I will point out is sometimes if you choose to throw in the harmonic or diminished note is what I call this note, where you go to an A flat. That does sound pretty cool as well, especially with a progression that would introduce an chord with an A flat in it, like the E major. So in this progression at the intro there, I did the A minor, D minor, G major to E major, and that allowed that note to be used in that progression, like that. Now another thing to point out too is if you want to use this in a middle octave sort of thing, it's a little more difficult down here, but say if I was in E up here, then the octave of that would simply be here. So you don't always have to be up on the B and the E string for these. And also you don't always have to be in this particular triad. I'm going back to A now. You don't have to be in this particular triad. If I was looking at an A minor scale here, I could easily just decide to do that off of these pivot notes. Right? And I'm just pivoting on wherever the pinky brings me is the note I'm going to choose to pivot off of. So it does not have to be specific to one position. And the other thing should be mentioned is if you want to do this in a major key, just think of the relative major. In this case, would be C. So if I'm in a C major thing, like maybe now that would be C major approach there. It's going to work as well. Or you can move it to another position if you like. That's more comfortable. But again, you can use these in different keys and modes, of course. Just find where they work for your own personal preference. But they're called, again, pivots or paddle licks, I think is the terms I've heard. So yeah, that's about it. Not too much to say about them. Try them at first, maybe just slowly without any backing track. Get comfortable, maybe with a metronome, and then decide whatever is your favorite key. Again, it's easy to convert this to an any key. This would be D here. There's my D triad. And they do not have to be, again, specifically off the triad. This would be A minor down here. So it's really personal preference where you like to play them, but I find it very comfortable to do them there. So that's about all I can say about them. Just try them and see what's most comfortable for you, if you haven't tried these before. And if you have, then you probably do realize the coolness. I think they've got a level of coolness to them. So anyways, thanks again, folks. We'll see you next time.